Hi, everyone, and welcome to my scoop for this week. When I was preparing my thoughts around what to talk to you about today and what to point you to on our platforms, I thought about it really under some themes or some categories for this week. So I'm going to take some leeway and rather point to themes or some of the conversations that are happening in our industry right now, and then point you to some of the articles or interviews or content that will kind of inform you as to the latest conversations, but also enable you to, or position you is a better way of saying it, position you to be able to participate and advise your clients in the right ways as we unpack some of the overriding trends that are unfolding before our very eyes. So the first was obviously Women's Month, and that ended at the end of last week. We had and ran an amazingly successful Women's Month webinar called Women in Finance, where we discussed the need for women in the industry for self-advocacy and why it is difficult for us as women to brag. Brag, in fact, was the word that we used, and what makes us uncomfortable to do that, and why sometimes our risk aversion, while it can be a strength in many positions and in many roles that we fulfill in our worlds, why it can sometimes also be our biggest weakness. So an excellent conversation around self-advocacy, around not bragging, but positioning yourself to be able to reap the rewards or the fruits of your labor. A great conversation to go and listen to with 5 amazing women in our industry, and I thank them all for their time. You can find that on our website under past events if you go and look at industry events. I think the other aspects or angles around Women's Month that I would like to point you to are really 2 interviews that are on EBNet Stream right now. The first is with Lindiwe Monyai, who is the managing executive at Liberty Corporate Benefits, and she shares her story with us, and is definitely a breath of fresh air, really, in our industry, and her story is an interesting and motivating one. And the other interview that I'm thinking of is from another Lindiwe, that's Lindiwe Sebesho, who is the managing director at REM Channel, and their latest research around remuneration for women and how we go about literally asking for salary increases, and again, not only applicable to women, but definitely a methodology and a way of thinking and a way of positioning yourself and your conversation around worth, around financial impact to an organization, and linking that to your role, and therefore leading naturally into a remuneration discussion. So 2 excellent articles or interviews that you can go and listen to. The other theme that is coming up is investments, or that has got a lot of airtime this week, is investments and the investment context and reality in which our investment professionals are looking for alpha. I was absolutely privileged to attend this week's CFA conference in Camps Bay, and the content was extraordinary, and the level of speakers, both local and international, were a real privilege to listen to. And I think the overriding conversation is around how emerging markets are not following the traditional playbook. And it is an article that is echoed by Archie Hart and his team from 91 on our platforms. But emerging markets are, I'm not going to say rewriting the playbook, because I don't think we're at that stage yet, but certainly need to rewrite the playbook if we are going to make the most of the opportunities that the current world environment actually presents us with. And this has a lot to do with Donald Trump and his tariffs, and that reality forcing us and forcing the rest of the world to have conversations with partners that traditionally we may have been too lazy to have, or too comfortable. Let's say that comfort is always a bad thing. And so the imposition of tariffs forces a conversation around the world that that certainly could be very rewarding for Africa as a continent. And you can go and read my write-up about the CFA conference. It is on the EBNet platform right now under www.ebnet.co.za. And you can go and see some of the sentiment that our investment industry is investing in right now to try and find alpha and value. a great conversation. The other piece of content around investments is this month's episode of Living Markets with Liberty, where Leon chats to John Taylor, again from Liberty Corporate Benefits, and has a conversation around the investment landscape and how it relates to the advice that you may be giving your clients and your pension fund board of trustees.
EBNet is proud to bring you top quality content from experts across the financial services industry in South Africa and internationally for free. Your support helps us in doing this. All we ask is that you subscribe to our channel by clicking the subscribe button below. Share this video with others you think will benefit from it, and give us a thumbs up if you are enjoying the content. That way you help us help you. Thank you from the team at EBNet. For more great content, please visit www.ebnet.co.za.
So some really excellent investment content, and certainly easily digestible for you, and certainly will position you to have great conversations with your customers, be those both retail and or institutional. The other big theme is AI. I don't know if you've heard about it. It was another big theme coming up at the CFA conference, but is a thread that is now woven through every piece of content that finds its way onto our platforms. And that's not because I'm curating or weeding out or specifically choosing it to focus it. Or to focus on it. It really is, this is the conversation. And how is AI impacting our worlds? How is AI impacting our investment processes, our business processes, the way we think, the way we both give and receive advice, and the way we as humans interact with the world? And the fifth industrial revolution, really around digitization and around human-machine collaboration, was another topic at this year's CFA conference, and presents magnificent and huge opportunities to Africa as both an investment market, but also as a manufacturer in terms of resources that we have available. So AI is a thing. How it impacts your business, you can find a multitude of articles on our website around this. But more importantly, AI is the theme of this year's EBNet Evolutionaries Conference. And so we did release the link to register for this conference, and I encourage you to please do so. It is a virtual conference. And we always have to explain this to people. It's not an online conference, it's a virtual conference, which means we open the platform in the first week of October. I think it's the 4th is the Monday, 4th of October. You can go and interact with that content throughout the whole week. Actually, I think it's the 6th to the 10th of October. You can interact with all the content on the platform. You can go and watch the presentations as and when you feel like it. You can stop halfway and go back in if you've got meetings. You can interact with the exhibitors, and we have some great sponsors this year. And of course, you can go and see the Evolutionary Award entrance. And the theme is around AI and tech. And having spent the majority of this week when I wasn't at CFA looking at the content and working through that for you guys, it's not something you want to miss. There are some excellent insights into how AI is changing what we do and how we do it. And really some great content, as I say, that you can go and interact with in your own time. There's also some excellent content on the website around AI. And let's face it, AI is just a thing, and we need to get our heads around it. Although I'm not sure that we can yet even get our heads around it. If I think about some of the conversations I've had this week. Lastly, there's been some regulatory insights that have been delivered. I've attended, thank you very much to the Pension Lawyers Association. I attended their webinar earlier this week around the Conduct Standard 2, and this is 2 of 2025, so that's for pension benefit administrators. There's an excellent summary that I did pop onto the website around their key points of differentiation between this conduct standard and the old board notice, which was issued, can you believe it, 23 years ago. I know my age, my face doesn't look like it, but I was around then. Yeah, I was just thinking, am I going to be around in 23 years' time? Depends on my retirement savings, right? But you can go and read up on the summary of that webinar around the high points of that conduct standard, particularly as it relates to things like suspense accounts, trust accounts, contribution payments, etc., and some definite highlights that you will get from that. The second article I'm thinking of is from Colin D from Cirrus TechView around the 13B Administrator Conduct Standard and its implications for complaints management. Now, complaints management is something that we know the FSCA has been looking at, and we know that by virtue of some reports and some research that they released earlier this year. And Colin really takes an opportunity to describe in quite a lot of detail, or in a fair amount of detail, what a trustee's job is when it comes to managing complaints, to monitoring complaints. But then a lot of our new legislation and regulation is talking about these iterative loops. So feeding that experience and those learnings back into the system to refine our policies and to refine our practices. And so that is two excellent pieces of content that I really can point you to and encourage you to go and have a look at. So those are the highlights of this week. I'm trying to think what else we spent our time on. A lot of it is on the conference, so please do go there. And I'm looking forward to dropping the next topic of our next live webinar, and you can expect that in the next couple days or next week sometime. And yeah, that's a summary and a wrap of what we've been up to as an EBNet team. And please keep your comments coming. Please keep reaching out to me either on LinkedIn, on my email, which is on the website, at conferences, or at any type of industry event. I love chatting to the industry and getting your ideas and your insights and your feedback, and we'll keep bringing great quality to you. Until next week.